Hello and welcome to the Lengthy Yarn podcast. I'm Frank, also known as Knitting Guru 1 on Ravelry. And today is like my first time recording in a long time. I have been trying so hard to make this consistent, but recording issues, time issues, I've been so busy with school and whatnot that it's been very hard to come up with a schedule to do so. But this is going to be the first episode in a while. I won't really number it because I don't want to jinx it and then have me not record next week. But anyway, this is a knitting show, and I'm going to be separating each segment up into its own video that I can hopefully piece together so that you don't have to go to multiple places to watch the full episode. So the first segment will be works in progress, or unfinished objects, UFOs, and what I have on the needles right now, I can't tell you a whole lot about it because it's a pattern that I'm currently designing called Jupiter's Tears sock pattern, and it is I'm knitting it as a top down, and it has the main feature of it is a small section of lace pattern on either side of the ankle, and it's going to be using an afterthought heel pattern, which I was not clear on if Laura Linneman of the Knit Girls designed that heel. I don't think that she did, but she did design, I think, the one that uses the waste yarn, which is what I'm doing. So I'm working on that. I'm put in the waste yarn for the heel, and I'm knitting down the foot. I am almost to the toe. I have about 1.5 inches to go, and then I'll knit the toe. And I am knitting it out of Malabrigo worsted weight yarn, the Malabrigo worsted, which is I'm not sure if it's a superwash, but I know it is merino wool. And it is in the colorway Autumn Forest, which will go along with the hat that I'm wearing that I will talk about in the segment, what I am wearing. So yeah, and I'm knitting it on size, I forget what size circulars these are, but these are Addi lace needles. I think they're lace. I know this is a very unprepared episode, as you can probably tell, but they are by the brand Addi, but I'm unsure if they are lace, and they are 32-inch circulars, and I'm magic looping the socks. This is my first magic loop project, aside from a single fingerless mitt that is currently in the unfinished projects bin. So yeah, and that's what I'm working on right now. And the next one that I'm knitting, the only other UFO, is a baby sweater. The pattern is a Knitting Pure and Simple pattern, and it's just called Baby Pullover, and I'm knitting it out of Marble Chunky yarn in a numbered colorway. It doesn't have a specific name. But it's green. It's various shades of green with some blue in it, variegated. And it's a fun knit. It's the first sweater that I've done, aside from one that was just you knit 5 rectangles and sew them together, but that wasn't very fun. This is all one piece, knit in one piece, so there's no sewing. I modified the pattern a little bit. Normally it calls for a rolled collar and also rolled cuffs on the sleeves and on the bottom. However, I believe, so I did the rolled collar, but I did 1x1 rib on the bottom. That way it would stay on a little bit better because it is for a newborn. And I felt like, I don't know, like it might work up easier if it was just a rolled bottom. So I did that. I am still debating as to whether I'm going to do ribbing for the cuffs or if I'm going to do rolled. I think I'm going to do rolled because the baby is due in May 1st, and so it's going to be kind of like a summery sweater. I already feel like this is probably going to be used mostly for like either a rare cold day, which I mean, it's Oregon, so it's possible, or else just during the nighttime if the baby's up or something, because the yarn is a worsted weight yarn, so I feel like, and the baby will probably grow out of it very quickly, but I feel like it might not get a whole lot of wear out of it, but even so, since it's nearing summertime, I think I might do the rolled so it's not so like strangly on the child. And that is for my PE teacher, Miss Candace, having a baby boy. So yeah. Right now I'm working on the first sleeve, and I'm stuck on it because I do not understand the pattern, so I'm going to be taking it to my local yarn shop, Designer Yarn, for help. So that is it for works in progress, and I will conclude this segment with a word from Designer Yarn. Designer Yarn, located on Proctor Boulevard in Sandy, Oregon, provides a unique and broad selection of yarn for the local knitters in the community. They sell fiber grown by both widely known companies and local farmers. They have a wide array of yarn, including Noro, Malabrigo, and many more very high-quality brands. And they offer a very quaint and cozy environment for you to come and get help, offering classes throughout the week and very much help. The owner is very helpful. Please check them out. They are on Proctor Boulevard in Sandy, Oregon. Hi, and welcome back to The Lengthy Yarn. In this segment, it's going to be a very short one, but it's going to be a finished objects / what I'm wearing. And even though you can't see what I'm wearing, it is a hat done out of the same yarn I'm using for the socks that I talked about in the last segment, the Malabrigo worsted yarn in the Autumn Forest colorway. And this is a pattern of my own design. It was the very first hat that I knit. And it has a 96 stitch count brim, and then I had just a very simple decrease pattern for the crown. And it also has a few rows of lace. And it slouches, which I like. I really like that. And again, it's out of the Malabrigo worsted yarn in the Autumn Forest colorway. So the socks that I'm knitting right now will go with that, and they will be matching. And yeah, so since that was only a minute long, I'm going to talk about spinning in this segment. Because what's the point in having a minute long segment? So what I have, my main highlight of spinning, is I got a braid of fiber from LaDonna April's company, Fistful of Fibers. She is an independent dyer based in New Mexico, and she had a naming contest on Facebook to name her colorways, and I named quite a few of them. And so I won. I got to choose between a skein of yarn and a braid of fiber, and I chose fiber. And the one I picked was one of the braids that I named, and I named it Cantaloupe and Wine. And it has oranges, greens, purples, grayish purples. It's a very fun yarn, especially now that I've plied it. I did one skein that was a 3-ply. and then one that was a 4. I have only ever plied a 2-ply, and then I just jumped right into 4, and then I decided to do 3. I love it so much. It's super awesome, and just, it's busy, but it's a good busy in the colors, because it has a change between green, purple, yellow, yellowish orange, and kind of like a, possibly like a green olive, or a Granny Smith apple color. I don't know. Apple probably makes it seem way brighter. It's a very pale green. And I'm going to be knitting this up into a gift for LaDonna, that I will be giving to her for her birthday, which is coming up soon. So yeah, I got 2 skeins. Each one was probably approximately 89 yards. So in total I got somewhere around 160 yards. But this has not been washed yet. I need to give it a bath to set the twist, because it's very kinky. It coils up on itself a lot right now. So I definitely need to set the twist on these. Yeah, and then other than that, I am spinning. Oh, I did spin. I got some alpaca yarn, or alpaca fiber, as it were, from the yarn shop in Sandy. And so I spun it. I got, I think this was 215 yards of a single, and I dyed the single by itself, and it's kind of a orangish green gradient. Very cool. It's almost, the orange and the green mixing made it almost like a coppery, a very light copper or rust color, and then there's splurges of much more solid green. And I love it, and I have some more single, but I have a lot more of the fiber, except I dyed the rest of the fiber, so now I cannot, but it's good enough to actually keep as a single, I think. And with 215 yards, I may very well be able to get, something like a hat made out of it. Or possibly, I don't think a cow, but definitely a hat, probably. And then other than that, I am spinning some Malabrigo Noob fiber that I also got from my yarn shop. Right now I'm working on the Persia colorway, and it's blue, charcoal, kind of an ash gray, and the blue is very bright. It's kind of a turquoise-ish to a navy. It goes between those two, and I love it. I'm spinning my first single on that now. It's been on the wheel for quite a while on one of my bobbins. I've just had it sitting on my desk, and so it's very good to be getting some more progress on that. And other than that, I don't have anything for actual spinning, but I will see you in the next segment that will cover dyeing. Hello and welcome back. So this segment is going to just be what I've been dyeing. I won't have it every week because I don't have material to dye all the time, but it's going to be quite full, this segment. So first, I talked a little bit about an alpaca single that I had spun, and I dyed it into, I think I'm going to name this colorway Mabon, which, for those of you that don't know, Mabon is a holiday similar to Thanksgiving, but it's more secular. I don't personally celebrate it, but it is one of the lunar holidays. It happens on the fall equinox, and it's associated with fall color and harvest and stuff, and that's what this yarn makes me think of. So the colorway shall be Mabon. Then a little while ago I dyed a small bat that I had gotten in an assortment bag of fiber from the Pendleton Woolen Mills. And it was originally white. It's just, I don't know what breed of wool it was. The bag just said it was wool. And I dyed it along with a 2-ply of undyed white merino yarn. And the yarn came out a very deep purple, kind of a hot pinkish purple, which I named Heatherbird, and it was inspired by a short story. I believe it was called Initiation. It was one of my favorite short stories that I read. So it's called Heatherbird. And I also dyed that unspun fiber in the same dye pot. And it came out a bit paler, probably because I dyed it after I dyed the yarn, so some of the dye was exhausted. But, yeah, and I sat down and I tried to spin it, but the wool, I want to wait. A lot of the wool that was in that bag was it wasn't in a good form. It's very hard to spin. It's very open and kind of pulled apart. But then other parts of it are very matted and tight. So I want to wait to get some carders. I want to get some hand carders so I can make it probably into Rolags. Hopefully. So I dyed that, and then the same fiber, the alpaca fiber that I spun that one single out of, the rest of it, and I haven't weighed it yet, but I dyed it, it had a base of a turquoise, and when I put that in, some of the fiber was still white, which I was very happy with. So I absorbed all the dye in the pot of the turquoise, and then I did the method for the first time where you tie the knots in the roving to preserve some of the blue. And then I put it back in the pot and I put in yellow. And so that created, after I had taken it out and untied the knots, splurges of color of turquoise, green, yellow, kind of a pale yellow, possibly like a pear color. And then also a few sections of white. And I separated it into 3 different braids. I'm going to keep one, and I'm going to try to sell the other 2, hopefully. I'll see if I can. So yeah, that was my latest dyeing project. Except I did do tie-dye shirts. And I did them on Saturday. Soaked them and twisted them and dyed them and then put them in the Ziploc bags to set. One of them was for a friend who I went to a church event for a course called Alpha that my youth group was doing, and we had a weekend away and we did tie-dye, but she didn't get a chance because she had to take someone to the hospital that had gotten a spider bite. So she didn't get a chance to do it. So I took the remaining tie-dye supplies and her shirt, and I did it, and then I did one of my own shirts. And they came out great. I loved the way that they turned out. Mine was largely turquoise with a little bit of red around the edges in the generic sunburst pattern that comes from the center around the stomach area, and same with hers, but hers was much more red, and they came out very cool. So technically that was my latest dyeing project. I just put them in the washing machine in their own load to finish setting the colors. And we're all going to be, that Alpha group is having a celebration party tomorrow that we'll all be wearing tie-dye too, so I got that done just in the nick of time. And that concludes the segment on dyeing. I'll see you back here in just a moment. Hi and welcome back. This last segment is known as All That Jazz, and it is everything else that I want to talk about. Hopefully it won't be too long. I'm just going to talk about a book I'm reading and some other things that I've been up to lately in the last week that are not knitting related. So first up, I am reading Mockingjay, which is the third and final installment of the Hunger Games trilogy by Suzanne Collins. And I'm nearly done. I believe I am about a little over 100 pages from being done, and it's very good. It's a great book. I've loved reading the series. I think that this and the first book, known as The Hunger Games, probably are competing for the best of the three right now. Catching Fire, which is the second book, I finished probably a week or so ago, and it wasn't my favorite, but I definitely love this one. So I'm hoping to finish it by midweek or so, and then I'm going to be reading Divergent, which I'm very excited for. And The Hunger Games is a great book, even though it's such a bandwagon thing. I definitely recommend reading the books and seeing the movies if you haven't seen them, because they're very good. They're very creative, and very fast-paced, which I like. Second, this Saturday, I got to take in a little bit of opera on the All Classical FM radio station from based here in Portland, and they were playing Puccini's La Boheme, which I have listened to part of before, but I got to listen to almost all of it, and it was very nice and relaxing. And that is a tragedy set in the 1800s, and I believe France, but I'm not super familiar with the plot line of it, only that it is a tragedy. So that was very enjoyable, that I got to listen to it while I tie-dyed and knit. And then also, I have been writing quite a bit of poetry lately. I'm working on getting one of my poems, known as The Hooves, published in my local newspaper. I'm very excited and hope that that works out. I love writing poetry. It's my favorite thing to write. And I established a Facebook page that you can feel free to like. I will link it in the show notes after the episode is up. And it is where I post all of my poems too. And I will be very appreciative for you to like that if you're interested in it. And to share it with others if you enjoy my writing. Other than that, I am going to, this evening, in a little while, I'm going with my dad and my brother down to a tulip festival just outside of Canby, Oregon. We're going to take pictures. For those of you who don't know, my father is a very good photographer. And so we're going to be heading down there soon to take some photographs. And one last thing, today was very enjoyable because my school website went down, so I didn't have to work on school for the later half of the day, so I got to finish early and catch up a bit on my podcasts on the Knit Girls. I'm still a bit behind, but I got caught up quite a bit. And it was just really nice to have the entire afternoon to just knit, work on my socks, and enjoy myself. And I believe that's it. I hope to record next week, and yeah, I hope to be recording next week. I'm not sure if I'll have anything as far as a book to review. I would like to think that I would, but I feel like I do have a Noro Knit magazine, the Fall Winter 2013 catalog that I'd like to review. I've recorded a few reviews of it, but they've never gone up on the website as far as I know. So yeah, that should be on tap for next week. Today is Monday, so I hope to record same time this week or right around there. Then I might be doing it on Sundays, but I'm unsure. So I hope you have a great week and happy knitting. Bye, y'all.